Hello and welcome to the first ever Bhop Talk Show. This is T-Mac, and I'm joined by top donator Akrspicy.
Hello.
And today's topic is going to be TAS. And why don't you go ahead and introduce what exactly TAS is?
So tassing is a tool-assisted speed run for bunny hop maps where you can sort of segment and rewind and replay parts of your run to kind of construct a whole run of a map all in one go when it's just not done in real time. So there's also at this point in time, different features to it, such as time scaling, where you can slow it down like it's in slow motion. There's auto strafing to it, like silent perfect one tick strafers, and saving checkpoints and resuming and rewinding like on a KZ map almost.
Right, and it allows you to hit like all kinds of crazy routes and do all kinds of good crazy tricks that you probably wouldn't be able to do your first time around.
For sure, yeah.
So what we're going to do is we're going to try and get into the positives and negatives of tassing first, and then we'll go on to whether or not it is or isn't a good thing for bhop. So the positives are probably mainly routing. It's easier to hit a route for a map. You can get an idea of what exactly the perfect run is going to look like. Also, there's less time involved in getting that run, and you get to see some really cool stuff.
And I know a lot of good bhoppers will actually use segments to like create routes for their runs, too.
Yeah, actually, I think most people nowadays are actually doing that. I don't think there's too many runs out there that have been hit that aren't first done on TAS, unless they're a very new early run that has just come out like the first day or so that the map gets released.
So because if you make a mistake on a part, you can just do it over and over and over again with the same amount of speed you'd have before. You don't have to pre-speed or try to run the whole map in one go for a route.
Yeah, absolutely. And being able to rewind out fails really makes it like super useful for hitting those perfect runs, and then you can watch the bot and see exactly where that comes into play. You can see exactly where all your skips come into play and how fast exactly you can hit those runs. But that kind of brings in the negative too, doesn't it? In the sense that people can record those bots and just say, "Oh, well, this is my run," and submit it to, say, a larger channel and upload a run there and get the run uploaded.
With a bot like recording, you can't tell if it's auto or not, assuming you're not using the silent strafer. It's kind of it makes it look smooth almost.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially if you segment out fails and stuff like that, it can be really really insane. A lot of people they definitely think it's cheating because it is. It takes away from other people who are running the map legitimately, who are running maps legitimately, and that's one of the biggest issues that I have with TAS myself, is that it makes it so hard to tell when somebody who is fairly good hits an insane run. Can you believe that it's reasonable, especially if they might have other people questioning their authenticity? Take, for instance, TST's run on Shitper. That one got kind of removed because sketchy runner. Is he scripting? What's going on there? No one has any proof, but a lot of people think that he is. So it takes that down, and it affects players who wouldn't necessarily be cheating as well. And I think that's a pretty big issue.
Especially if it's posted on more of a private channel, like the bhopper's own YouTube channel, you have no way of knowing, especially because like the bigger YouTube channels like Global Jumps or Source Jumps, for instance, will have you send in demos. I know, so they can probably tell if it's auto or tasked. But if it's somebody just posting it to their private channel, it's a lot harder to tell, and it can be a lot more fishy.
Well, you'd certainly think so, but that's the thing with TAS is you can record a demo of the bot.
It's true,
and you'd be able to upload that to upload that as the demo to Source Jump or say Global Jumps or even Ultima. Well, I guess Ultima uses their own bots, so
absolutely.
I'm not sure that would necessarily happen. But certainly with Global Jumps and Source Hop for Source, or sorry, Source Jump for Source, that could definitely happen. And I think it does happen. Granted, probably not as often as some might think, and who knows, maybe it doesn't happen, but the fact that it is a possibility makes people think that, hey, this could be happening, and I think that's a bad thing for bhop overall, if there's that chance that, hey, anybody could be cheating at any time.
The skepticism,
that's definitely not a good thing to have.
I know it raises a lot of eyes when people, hit some like really fast flick and keep their speed, or spin really fast or something that seems, something that's incapable of being done. But it raises accusations of tassing a lot of the times.
Yeah, it definitely adds that element of skepticism to where it's like, ooh, you see this one little clip, and is that an issue in the demo, or is that some sort of imperfection in the task that they fixed out and hoped that nobody would notice? And that kind of stuff gets pretty iffy, and it can lead to a lot of issues. So what's your overall opinion on TAS? Do you think it's a good thing? Do you think it's a bad thing? Where does your opinion lie?
Personally, I really like using TAS myself. I like going on servers and being able to, run a map that's very hard and iconic maybe in a very short amount of time and make it seem just absolutely impressive to me. I think that's fun. It's mind-blowing. It makes you feel good to hit some crazy skips that that you wouldn't be able to normally. It definitely has some negatives to it. There's a noticeable skill cap to TAS, you know what I mean? You can only get so good almost. Like with auto runs, you can always be improving and optimizing, but with TAS, it gets to the point where you're just going as fast as the auto strafer can hold you.
Right, so it's sort of limited to exactly how well you know the map and what exactly you can do, and you'll end up within probably less than a second on some very long, big maps, and obviously it'd be kind of pointless to do on a strafe map, but you can certainly get like a perfect run very easily. And you probably have a lot of people. I've never actually used TAS on a server aside from my own LAN, which was very temporary. And occasionally on a KZ server if they have checkpoints or whatever, but that's not really TAS exactly. Well, it is TAS, I guess, but it's a dumbed down version of the TAS that we're talking about, the tool-assisted speedrun.
Yeah. Well, and also it takes away, I think as other people have brought up, it takes away from the kind of the surprise and the awe from the auto bhoppers, because if you watch somebody doing a route on TAS, you're seeing everything that's been done, and it's not as surprising when the auto bhopper does it. You're looking at it and you're like, wow, that's just a slower version of the TAS.
Yeah, and Forrest actually mentioned that in his in his video where he comments on this was probably a year ago or so, where he comments on somebody epic's beating his time on Lego 2. And yeah, he mentions the exact same thing, and it's certainly a good issue to bring up and something to think about when people are hitting these runs that are so insane on TAS, and then somebody else can't hit that until people will never hit like a perfect TAS run most of the time.
Well, yeah, of course.
It's like a perfected TAS run. I think you said that, was it Boomshot or Old Money that has the 320 on Arcane?
I believe it's 322, yeah.
Yeah, Boomshot has a 322 on Arcane, and Forrest has a 440. And Forrest spent a crazy amount of time getting that 440, whereas Boomshot probably didn't take as long. But that 440, obviously, in comparison, doesn't look as impressive as the 320 would. So yeah, so that it definitely does take away from those runs. Even though the 440 is much more impressive, Forrest's run is much more impressive because of how long it took and how much effort was put into it, and the fact that nobody's even come close to that record even a year or so later. That's incredible. But if somebody's absolutely new and has never seen bhop before, and they type in bhop_arcane because they've just gotten into it, and they see this TAS run that's 320, and they see Forrest run, which is 440, they're going to be like, oh, well, this guy is way better than Forrest.
Of course, yeah.
And that's definitely a bad thing.
Mm-hmm. And TASs, they often take a lot less time to run, you know what I mean? Like, instead of, hours, like spending 50 to 100 hours on a map, you'll spend more like if you're really going for it, maybe 2 or 3 at most.
Yeah.
Because you don't have to, because every time you mess up, you don't have to do the whole map again.
Yeah.
You're just rewinding half a second.
And I think it's too hard to boil down to a simple yes or no whether TAS is a good thing overall or isn't. The bottom line is that TAS is here, and it's likely going to stay. Correct. I mean, it's a fairly, well, I'm not even going to say it's a fairly new thing. It's been around for a while, but it's here to stay. And do you think it's going to make things positive or negative in the long run for the bhop community?
Well, I mean, I think it's going to change some things a lot, but overall, I think it might help in terms of improving the quality of the auto runs. I think it will, advance people's routing abilities, maybe, open up some new ideas, but also it'll make people care less a bit. I mean,
I agree. I think with TAS being more prevalent, I think that maybe speedrunning in the long run won't be as prevalent a thing, which would be kind of unfortunate, but
course, yeah.
certainly the competitive aspect will always be there. But it might open up bhop to a whole new casual crowd of people that are more interested in seeing, like, oh, look at how cool this can be. And it'll be an easier thing to do as opposed to actually learning to bunny hop, which is a little more difficult. So it might be better for a newer player, but I think for the competitive community as a whole, I don't think TAS is necessarily a good thing.
Okay.
And I've heard that TAS is going to kill bhop and stuff like that. I don't think it's going to kill bhop. I think it's going to change bhop. And from what you said earlier, I think you're on the same page with that.
Yeah. Well, one thing to keep in mind is that TASing is it's an evolving thing. You know, different servers have different plugins that can do different things. TAS is, of course, going to get better as time goes on, and the runs are like the capability of runs are going to improve. Like, you know, maybe the auto tick, like the auto strafer, like gets a little better. You can start going a little faster. The optimizer gets going better, so you can take tighter turns and hit better skips, like with the same speed. So yeah, it's I don't think it can ever be competitive like that unless eventually someday all of the servers agree, like, we're going to use this plugin and it's not going to change ever.
Right, and I think we've seen that just from the past as well.
Of course, yeah.
For instance, if we go back to like when legit was the meta way back when. And then all of a sudden there was this thing called FPS Max, where you could change your maximum FPS or frames per second to 54, and you'd be able to go way faster with scrolling. But some people couldn't do that, and that's where scripting came in. And then people were scripting and being able to go faster than the FPS Max people. So they started using auto bhop. And I think TAS is kind of the next step in the cycle, essentially.
Okay.
And I think it'll be interesting to see where bhop goes after TAS, or if there's going to be an after TAS. Maybe the game will change entirely. Who knows?
Maybe the new meta could be, you know, like when you go into a server, the normal style you're already on is a segmented style.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like now it's auto, and people don't tend to do legit or scroll bhop as often, at least not in CSGO. And who knows, maybe the next game that comes out will be more inclined to be TAS, but there'll still be people who hold on to auto, and maybe it'll come all the way back around to legit again. Maybe this is going to be an ongoing cycle to where it's like, well, yeah, anybody can do an auto run that's crazy like that, but we're going to go back to legit and hit these runs that are much harder to do, just to take the overall difficulty level back up a couple of notches, as opposed to just focusing on strafes. Because once you go back to legit, you can't really TAS a legit run. The second you start doing that, people are going to know this is TASed. Or even if you try and do auto on legit, I guess you could, but it'd be difficult to pull off an auto run and keep it under people's noses and say, oh, it's actually a legit run or a scroll run.
Yeah, it'd be all sorts of weird script applications then, instead of, you know, segmentations or straight packs.
But yeah, I think TAS is very fun to watch. I think it's a good thing overall. Just for newer players to maybe get into bhopping, to see, oh, this is a cool tool that I can use to kind of learn how to get a little bit better. I can sort of see how to do things a little bit faster. I can see what works, what doesn't work, rewind the fail, and try again. And I think that's great.
Newer players could then see more of the maps. You know what I mean? They could. Like, if you're not good enough to complete a map on auto, you might be able to segment it and complete it in a way that you would never be able to before. And that can probably, you know, make it a lot more enjoyable for a lot of people. Yeah,
and I think I think TAS is also really great for exploring parts of maps that have yet to be seen. For instance, hitting different kinds of skips that, no one ever thought that would be possible. But now that you're not failing or anything like that, you can test out all these different possible routes and see really what a map has to offer in its absolute most optimized capacity, when you can see absolutely everything that there is to see. And I think that's a good thing for people who are coming to bhop. I think TAS, if everything is perfected to the way that it, down to like it looking good and everything like that, because I know a lot of people aren't really a big fan of seeing the one-tick strafes or the super hard strafes, but they are getting nicer to look at, I've noticed. I've noticed that a lot of the TAS tool-assisted speedrun software, or plugins rather, are looking a lot better in terms of they don't have this jerky tearing movement that it looks like now. Now it just looks like you're going straight forward.
And also one thing to keep in mind is that on TASing you can do like show trigger commands, so you can really see all of the new things you can hit. It's not just based on, blocks. You can hit other skips that you would never even thought of because it's just some weird pixel sticking out. And you can, go ahead and spend 150 tries hitting that thing, and really opens up
Right,
different
and you can
weird
so you
things.
can essentially see exactly what areas of the map you can fail on,
For sure,
and what
yeah.
areas of the map, like maybe there's like a hidden little small pixel area that you could jump
Uh-huh.
on that's in the middle of like a sea of, oh, this is a fail area that's gonna trigger me back,
Yeah.
but there might be a little peg there that could lead to a huge skip. So
Uh-huh.
that's also a really good thing. So just to round things out, I don't think the TAS is killing Bhop. I think the TAS is a good thing. I think it's moving the meta along. I think it's going to bring some new and interesting stuff to Bhop.
Yeah, me too. I think it might, make some like old cranky B-hoppers upset, but I think it'll overall improve it. But yeah, I know a lot of people that don't like it a lot because, it's cheating, it takes no skill, all that.
Right.
I think it can eventually become something a lot bigger, a lot better for the community.
Right, and I've kind of noticed
Uh-huh.
that thing in the past too, where people are very hesitant and resistant to change, and I've even noticed it in myself in the
Yeah.
past. For instance, switching from 102 to 128 tick
Uh-huh.
servers. I was very against that because I was worried that, hey, maps are designed for 102 tick and it's going to make it way easier.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I guess it makes it easier, but at the same time, it just opens up new stuff. And once I got used to it, it wasn't so bad. It
Uh-huh.
was just a change. And I think that's what TAS is. I think TAS is going to be a change. People were super hesitant to switch from legit to auto Bhop, and you still have a lot of people in the competitive CSGO community that aren't interested
Uh-huh.
necessarily in Bhopping, but still want to Bhop and comp and seem cool, and they'll still consider, oh, auto Bhop is for
Yeah.
cheaters and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's
That
not.
was definitely the impression I had when I started B-hopping a long time ago. Is I would come on a server and I would do legit, to practice for comp B-hopping almost. But then it eventually turned into like, this is fun. Everybody's doing auto. Why don't I hop in?
Yeah, and I think with TAS, I think it makes it more accessible to newer
Definitely.
players. I think b-hopping becomes more accessible to newer players with TAS, and it's a good thing. We need to grow this community if we ever want to sort of break free from simply being a small portion of another game. I know In Momentum's supposed to be coming out, as well as we had Bunny Hop League
Yep.
and all these other games. But if we want our own game, we need more people. And if we want more people, we need to be more accessible. So that's I think where we're going to end it for today. I'm T-Mac.
And I'm Akrspicy, and thanks for having me on.
No problem, dude. Thanks for being on, and an extra special thank you goes out to Bork, King Butthurt, aka Glassbox of Death, Jidus, Akute, Ruckenschmerzen. Hopefully I didn't butcher that too badly, and of course to Akrspicy once again for sending in runs for this Bhop Talk Show. So all of the YouTubers, they have their accounts linked down in the description, so I suggest you check them out. And if you want to submit runs or just one run to be showcased on the next Bhop Talk Show, then send all your runs that you want to have featured in a video file format, preferably .mp4, to jacoby123abc@gmail.com. That's jacoby123abc@gmail.com. And make sure to keep all runs under 3 minutes long. Runs submitted don't need to be great. They don't even need to be good. They're just meant to give people something to look at if you want to watch a video instead of just listening to commentary while you go about your business. It also serves as a way for me to give back to the community and to promote other people's content. So make sure to check out those links in the description where their channels are all linked. And if you have a topic or an issue that you want to talk about as a co-host on the Bhop Talk Show, then send an email to jacoby123abc@gmail.com with the topic and your Steam link, and I'll add you and we can discuss it. Or if you already have me on Steam, then send me a message on Steam and we can talk about it a bit and see if we can make a podcast out of it. But that's about all the time that I've got for this talk show. And leave a like if you like, comment and subscribe, donate to my PayPal, share this video, check me out on Twitter at TMacDaGoon for notifications, and check out my gaming/vlogging channel, T-Mac's Dungeon Games, for additional content. But that's all the time that I have for this non-weekly review talk show where there is no surprise ending, just a black screen filled with cards. get fucking trolled. Meow. Chicken fucker.